what's one thing that you find yourself, in your role explaining to clients most often? Like, I end up saying this same thing,
Yeah.
over and over. Like, what's the one piece of advice or the thing that you find yourself explaining to clients more
Yeah,
often?
I mean, and it really depends. That's a great question. It depends on the client base. We work with everything from very early stage startups to
Hmm.
large enterprise teams. And I think particularly with startups, a lot of people, the misnomer is that it's fun to be a tech company. You can just jump in and build something really quickly and it'll go viral, right?
Right.
And so I think, the tie-in with what you're doing is that we find a lot of startup companies have a great idea, and I always tell people, anybody who's ever taken a shower has had a great idea. The point is you got to get out, you got to dry yourself off, and you got to get the people and the resources and all that together around it to execute that idea, right? And so when people come to me with an early stage idea and they put it in front of me and say, "What do you think of it?" My response is often, "Well, I'm not the customer, so it's kind of irrelevant what I think of it. It's really about what your customers think of it, and do you have the ability to sell into that marketplace in a meaningful way, right?" Because I always try and when I'm talking with somebody who wants us to build a product from scratch, I just say, let's just assume for a minute that we can build whatever you need. Do you then have the ability to execute on the business plan and to really market and sell that thing? And again, a lot of times I think they ignore that part of the equation, or maybe they're so fixated on the tech and whether it's possible that really they need to be thinking way ahead in terms of the sales and the business development and the execution there, that oftentimes I think just gets neglected because they're worried about building the perfect product. And I tell people there is no perfect software product. There's only a product that customers use and get value out of.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. We at one of my previous companies, we did something called customer problem stack ranking in order to like try to understand if there's even a need for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that as well with startups. Is we have this great idea, but and they think that it's solving, this customer has this problem and that's their number one problem. That may be their like third or fourth problem.
Yeah.
And so do you see that often where someone will come to you with an idea and your question is, well, is this solving an actual problem that a customer has?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we've sort of pride ourselves on is that we're industry agnostic, right? And I think that does lend itself to, you can see a solution here that might apply over here. And customers, although they're in different industries, often have similar problems, right? And so we kind of become the translator sometimes for that. But I think, oftentimes when somebody brings a product to me that's outside of an industry that we have a lot of familiarity in, we do a lot in healthcare, we do a lot in fintech. There's other areas that we're pretty comfortable swimming around in, but there's some areas where they come to me and they're the subject matter expert. And if they haven't really done what you're talking about, which is what we call customer validation or user research,
Yep.
then I think there's a big blind spot there. And again, what we would caution them to do is, if you haven't had a chance to do that and really find that product market fit, then let us help partner with you on that. We've built out a product marketing and strategy team that really goes in and does some of that early stage research, because I'd much rather have data to make those decisions off of than just a lot of opinions.
Right.
And so you can only truly have data if you've surveyed enough customers, right? So I recently participated in this program that was funded by the NIH, where they said, before you can start this software product, you have to talk to 100 customers.
Mm.
And so 100 seems very daunting. A lot of people will talk to 5 or 10,
Right.
but 100, they said, when you get to that level of volume and you have enough of those conversations and you code them out and you get the data, then you start to see patterns and you start to really see things that emerge, both good and bad. Some of your ideas aren't going to be valid and some are, and
Right.
probably your customers will surprise you with some insights that you weren't even thinking about in the beginning, is what we
Yeah.
found.